kind of forgotten about, except for a hunter named Damon Milton. Now you got to understand that because the Colosseum, the new Roman Colosseum, well, the gladiators were experienced combat veterans, there wasn't always people for them to fight. So they opened it up, big money, towards, well, what they were called was owners, but in actuality they were slavers. They would go out, they would find these people, jack them with hostility drugs or any kind of the military aggression factors, throw them in the arena to get chewed up, and win, lose, or draw, these agents would wind up getting paid for it. Well, a hunter who is a kind of an agent, but he's sort of a wasteland scrapper. It's just a general term for merchants who do a lot of deep wasteland exploration for profit. There was a hunter, this Damon Milton guy, had heard of the Pathfinder project, and he knew of a base where he believed that one existed, and he found some old data files and really thought that there was an unactivated Pathfinder sitting in a stasis tank somewhere in a deep forgotten storage bin. So he went into the wastelands and found him on an old abandoned base. Now, these stasis tanks were good for thousands of years. I mean, these were things that were designed for, they were practically cryogenics. So he just revived this Pathfinder who, I mean, saying he was revived was probably the wrong term. It might be better to say he was activated, even though he was still biological. But I mean, he was... they don't have the same desires or even thought process that a living human man does. So he activated this Pathfinder and told him that he was Commander Damon Milton and that he was now under his command, which the Pathfinder took because he was the one who activated him. And that was part of their programming, so it was no problem. So he took this Pathfinder down to the New Roman arena and said, yeah, I got a guy who'll take on some gladiators, no problem. Well, the first few battles ended really, really quickly because, well, the other gladiators, even though they were popular soldiers, weren't anything to this Pathfinder, so he slaughtered them. Killed them outright. The match was over in seconds. So every time he won, of course, Commander Damon Milton there, he was getting paid. So the odds started to stack against him. They started putting 2 gladiators against him, and then 4. Eventually, they had like walls of 50 men going out there with swords. Now, the rules of the arena are pretty simple. You're not allowed to use any ranged weapon, not even thrown. You can use nets, crowbars, swords, chainsaws, whatever you want. You just can't use ranged weapons. No bows, no throwing stars, if you use an axe and you throw it, you're shot. But you can use an axe. So they sent legions against this guy. The thing is, you can only be attacked, I believe it's by 6 or 8 people at a time. So, and he'd had 5 years, plus God only knows how long he'd gone over his drills in stasis. But I mean, he was slaughtering, killed hundreds and hundreds of these gladiators. So many that they were starting to run out, and the guy they brought in to be cannon fodder was turning everyone else into cannon fodder and didn't even look tired. The arena was going insane. The people were cheering for him, and even Caesar knew this soldier was undefeatable. This was something he'd never seen before. But he had to show his own superiority. Caesar had to show that he was the one in charge here, because he couldn't let this soldier become something else. He couldn't let him become a hero figure. It gets kind of political pretty quickly. So he asked the Pathfinder, he stood up after a battle, and he'd killed dogs, he'd killed everything. And he called the Pathfinder forward, and the Pathfinder approached, and from his high position he said that, he would ask this soldier, he said that he commended him for his bravery and blah, 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 blah. And he said that, you must surrender your weapon. You are truly amazing. Well, the problem is that Caesar used the word surrender, and that's not really on with the whole Pathfinders. So what the Pathfinder said was, I am a Pathfinder. There is no surrender. I only answer to Commander Damon Milton. Now, to defy Caesar in front of the crowd was an offense punishable by death, and Caesar was furious, and silently under his breath he gave the order to shoot. But the Templars, the New Roman Templars, stayed their hand. They wouldn't fire because they were soldiers of war. Well, and even in their cold hearts, even the Roman Templars were in awe of this guy's prowess, and they didn't fire. Now that put Caesar in big trouble, because now he's got his own guard are standing against him because they won't fire on this soldier who they respect. So he was in a bad way here. He was at the risk of losing it all. Loss of power. Perceived power is achieved power, and if you've perceived loss, that's a real loss.